Greetings, all you searchers out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor, Season 3.
Oh my gosh, what music.
This is Undeclared Bajor, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Hi again.
Today we're going to recap, discuss, and rate Season 3, Episode 1, The Search, Part 1. Alternate title, Journey to the Planet of the Goo.
No, yeah, I like that.
Our discussion will contain full spoilers for the series up through this episode. However, we are aware you might be in the middle of your first watch of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, so we will try to keep spoilers for later in the series to an appropriate minimum. We won't reveal anything too big, like the episode where Chief O'Brien gets a visit from his cousin, Conan.
That would actually have been great. Although, I mean, yeah, okay.
It makes perfect sense. What are you saying? I can just imagine it's like, oh, my cousin's coming, and then we go to the transporter, and the transporter slowly goes, and Conan O'Brien materializes. It's like
I was flabbergasted when that happened.
Yep. That was. I mean, I did not see that coming. This episode originally aired September 24th, 1994. It was written by Ronald D. Moore.
Yep.
Story by the two guys that I hate when they work together, Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. The 2-3 name guys that I always get confused. And directed by Kim Friedman, a.k.a. Crazy Jewish Mom.
Yep.
So, begin the recap segment. I want segments. I think segments are what it's all about. Add structure to the podcast.
Okay.
So we're going to call this the recap segment.
All right.
The whole command crew of Deep Space Nine, minus Sisko, gather in ops while Kira delivers the bad news. All simulations indicate there's no way they can fight off an attack from the Jem'Hadar. O'Brien agrees with his just basic knowledge of stuff. Basic
technical knowledge.
Yeah, he's like, we're a big giant space station with not enough power to really defend ourselves, so Then Kira's like, hey, you remember that episode, The Siege? Maybe we could do that again and wait for reinforcements. But Odo poo-poos that idea.
Oh, yeah, he's like, there wouldn't be much of a station left by the time they got here.
It's like, they're not going to take the station. They're just going to blow it up. And let's be real. Dax, now rocking a hairstyle akin to a 1940s pompadour, fears the only options will be to either abandon the station and fight from Bajor or just collapse the wormhole.
Didn't notice her hairstyle, I got to admit. Until you said that, and I pulled up a picture, and yep, sure enough.
Yep, I was like, what? And Kira's hair is a little weird looking, too, so I think obviously it grew since, the break, and the hair people tried to make it look as much like it did before.
I was going to say, maybe they just got some new hair people this season.
That's also possible.
It's like news radio when they got a new wardrobe person after the first season, and all of a sudden, all of the men didn't have these giant shoulders because apparently the lady in the first season insisted that shoulder pads were needed for all of the men because they needed to look more manly.
Sure. Suddenly, sensors start chirping. Some kind of energy field is only 300 meters from the station. Suddenly, a ship decloaks. A Federation ship.
Oh my gosh.
The ship hails them. It's Commander Sisko. Which I don't think they even explained where Commander Sisko was before this point.
I think they said he was off debriefing about the Dominion to Starfleet Command or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we hear that later, but did they say it
before
in
this
scene?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Maybe they did and I just forgot. Anyway, Sisko's like, sorry, I just wanted to test out the Defiance cloaking device. I've brought back a little surprise for the Dominion. The crew gather in the conference room, which has always been there, and Sisko explains that the Defiant was a prototype for a new combat fleet to fight the Borg. But the Borg problem kind of went away, and the ship had some issues, so they gave up on the idea.
The Borg problem has not gone away. I just want to establish that right now, but they apparently feel like, well, we haven't seen him in a while, so it's probably fine.
Yeah. It's like, we haven't seen him in a few months, so they're probably gone forever. No need to worry. So, but yeah, we do have the nice new conference room set with its nice glowy table and screen. But Cisco intends to take the Defiant into the Gamma Quadrant and locate the founders of the Dominion so that they can call a truce. It's like, let's just not wait for them to attack. Let's just go there and be like, please don't attack. Like,
Why can't we be friends?
Just at the right moment, 2 new people walk in. Romulan Sub-Commander Turul, who will be operating the cloaking device on loan from the Romulans, is a bristly, impatient type, not interested in making friends. After her introduction, she quickly leaves, out a different door from the one she came in through.
Yeah, I guess she knows her way to wherever she's going.
Yeah, even though she's never been to the station before.
Right. But now, she did her research. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there's one note in here that Martha Hackett plays Turul. She would later go on to play Seska on Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, okay. Just one of those people.
Also, Ronald D. Moore, when he got to name the ship, and he wanted to call it the USS Valiant, but they were like, no, we're about to start a show with the USS Voyager. You cannot name this the Valiant. That's too many V's. So he had to come up with something else.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, people who watch TV, they're just too stupid to tell the difference between 2 different words that start with the same letter.
Yep.
The other person is the much more charming and obviously trustworthy Lieutenant Commander Michael Eddington of Starfleet Security. Odo regards him with immediate suspicion.
I do love his, I am here to make friends, so...
Well, I guess I'm just fired then, says Odo, and storms off.
He is really kind of petulant about these sort of things, although... In the past, similar things have come up several times, and usually he's overreacting. In this case, not necessarily.
Yeah. Cisco chases after him and tries to explain that Eddington is just in charge of security for Starfleet. Odo will still be head of station security. Well, how's that going to affect my hidden cameras in every bedroom project, says Odo. Negatively, admits Cisco. What about my enhanced interrogation program, says Odo. You see, says Cisco, we're kind of zeroing in on why Starfleet isn't a big fan of you.
No joke.
And then Odo's like, well, y'all are a bunch of racists. I quit.
Yeah, he does really go to this is about race real fast, as opposed to, because Cisco has the conversation with Kira in a little bit that's like, look, he refuses to follow, Starfleet protocols for security matters, and that's a big part of why they're like, can we get somebody who will do things the way we say to do them?
Yeah. And I like his lines. She's like, well, you agree with them? He's like, no, but I mean, I kind of understand.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from, because he's kind of a jerk and doesn't want to... He's weirdly resistant to rules, given how much he loves rules.
Yeah.
Is the weird thing. It's
like he only gives reports when he feels like it, and yeah.
Which, that doesn't feel like Odo to me, only giving reports when he feels like it. I feel like he would be the guy who was very detailed in his report writing.
Yeah.
But especially given that he came up in this position or a similar position under the Cardassians, who were super anal retentive about documentation of everything. So I don't know why this is an issue for him, but whatever.
Maybe it's like working for the Cardassians just made him really hate authority or something like that.
I hate reports so much. There's a note in here that the original concept for Michael Eddington was he was only going to be on the show to fill in while Colm Meaney was doing a film.
Huh.
So,
what film was he doing? Con Air? Was this his Con Air?
It doesn't say what film it was. What year is this? Now I'm gonna have to look this up. So this is September 1994. So it would have been a movie that came out sometime the next year. Let's look up his IMDb. He's an Irish actor. Who knew?
Oh wow.
So 94. We got War of the Buttons as Geronimo's dad. The Road to Wellville as Dr. Lionel Badger. 2 episodes of the TV miniseries Scarlet as Father Colum O'Hara.
Uh-huh.
And then the next year, he was in The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill But Came Down a Mountain.
I remember that movie.
Morgan the Goat.
Huh.
So probably one of those things. Con Air was 1997, so I think this is a little early for that.
So he's not quite to the Con Air peak of his career yet.
He was busy playing Morgan the Goat, and he couldn't be here.
Was that character a goat, or was that?
I don't know. I've never seen The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill but Came Down a Mountain. So.
I saw it when it came out in theaters, and never thought about it since then.
Morgan the Goat. Here we go. Why Morgan the Goat is called Morgan the Goat? Oh no, he doesn't seem to be a goat. He seems to be a dude.
Is he so does he play a Welsh guy in that movie? Because I remember that movie takes place in Wales.
Here we go. In the case, I believe the goat is a reference to his propensity for randy lustfulness. It doesn't quite fit with the occupation-based monikers like Thomas the Trains, but it's more evocative than Morgan the Inn or Morgan the Pub. So I guess he's the innkeeper or the pub guy. His distinguishing characteristic is sexuality. He's the one that the gossips all gossip about, rolling in the hay with a wench. And so goats are associated with sexuality, connected to the Greek god Pan, satyrs, joyful fertility, and so on.
Yeah, whenever I see a goat, I'm like, yeah, that's something sexy right there.
So we're gonna clip that out, and we're gonna use that in out of context situations.
I definitely, whenever I look into those satanic goat eyes. Okay, then. We spent so much time talking about Colomini the goat that I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about Odo and Cisco.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Cisco returns to his quarters where he and Jake marvel at how the station somehow has started to feel like home after 2 years.
Yep.
Cisco makes it final by unpacking his prized collection of ancient African art that he got out of storage when he was on Earth.
I sure hope nothing happens to horribly damage the space station or enemies come on and destroy a bunch of stuff, because apparently this is a super valuable and rare collection of art.
Yeah, this never before mentioned best collection of African art in the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah, bringing it all the way out here to the edge of space, maybe not the best idea, but maybe that's just me.
Right as a new threat has presented itself.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And apparently it was in storage, not in a museum or something.
Right.
Odo stares out the promenade window and is approached by Kira, who tells him the Bajoran government asked him to go along on the founder search mission as a representative of them. And Odo's like, that's obviously bullshit.
It is, though.
And Kira's like, okay, you got me, but come on, be in the episode. It'll be fun. Meanwhile, Cisco is talking to Quark in his office. Since Quark is the only person they know with contacts in the Dominion, they need him to come along. But Quark doesn't want to go because of what happened last episode.
Yeah, don't blame him.
But Cisco has the trump card. He has the Grand Negus stick. He's like, you gotta do what the guy holding the stick tells you to do. Now kiss the stick.
It's really kind of mean.
Yeah. I kind of want to know where he really got that stick from, but if he really did talk to the Negus, or if he
I assume that he did. This is something that Quark could check pretty easily if he wanted to.
True.
There's a thing in here. Armin Shimmerman hated this scene. And the quote is, despite the Federation's lip service to their prime directive, which says they're not supposed to apply their standards to any other cultures, it seems to me that this was another example of the Federation making fun of, taking advantage of, and ridiculing the Ferengi way. So kissing the scepter was a bit irksome to both the actor and the character.
I love how Armin Shimmerman just embraces his Ferengi-ness so much. He really gets into it.
I mean, he became the defining Ferengi for the series, or the whole franchise, pretty much.
True.
So, it's glad that he owns that and is sticking up for them.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on this show before, but I saw a great interview once where, in his mind anyway, he felt like all the Ferengi actors were treated lesser than all the other actors. Aww. And this was a big bonding experience for them.
I guess that would be kind of, that I can see how that would unite you, and it would really give the Ferengi sort of a shared attitude against the humans and such.
Yeah.
That's kind of okay.
Again, I don't know if this is real or just Armin Sherman's brain, like, his acting method going.
Right. Yeah, could be.
But
it just reminds me when you said that of, I read a thing not long ago, somebody who worked at like Disney World talking about how there's like a pecking order among the different cast members who work at Disney World, and like how important you are, and like people feel all superior to other cast members based on their job. So it was like,
it's like, I'm trying to like Cinderella at the top. And
no, that's the thing, was like, you would expect like the some of these people who are portraying these characters to be at the top, but it's like the characters, especially the people in costumes, were kind of at the bottom. And it was like, I'm trying to find it, because it was like the people working in shops were at this one level, and the people like giving directions or whatever with this one level. So it was just like, it was this weirdly rigid hierarchy of like superiorness, and like lording it over the other people.
Interesting. But yeah, so then we get a scene where Cisco and Dax have a nice little chat. I didn't write too much down about it though, but they reminisce about Curzon, and how Cisco always dreamed of being an admiral, but really he would never be satisfied being an admiral, and all this stuff. He always wants to be the guy that goes and does it, not the guy giving the order. I
feel like that's a lot of people. That most of the characters that we get focus on in the series are that kind of person.
Yeah.
The kind of person who would rather be giving the orders is the kind of people that we often see as enemies on these shows.
The kind of person who would like to be giving the orders is usually not the personality type that you want to hang out with.
Yep.
Aboard the Defiant, Bashir complains about the inadequate medical facilities. Quark complains about the quarters and recommends an interior decorator. At a reasonable fee, of course. Then at the last minute, Odo shows up to take Kira up on her offer. They take off and head through the wormhole, immediately cloaking when they reach the Gamma Quadrant. Which, like, can they cloak when they're in the wormhole? Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's a good question. Although, the best question to me is, if you've made a deal that you can only cloak in the Gamma Quadrant, why did you start out the episode cloaked in the Alpha Quadrant?
Yeah, did they ever mention in this episode that they can't cloak in the Alpha Quadrant? Or is that something that comes along later?
I feel like it was mentioned in this episode, but to be fair, it's been like a week and a half since I watched this episode, so I'm not 100%.
Because I didn't remember hearing it, but also, they make it seem like the cloaking device is on loan for just this one mission. So apparently most of the crew quarters don't have life support, which is like, can you just open the door and like let the life support in from the rest of the ship? But so Odo has to share with Quark, much to his annoyance.
Yeah, it does seem weird to me that they're like, yeah, there's no room for anybody. There's no other room on the ship.
Quark tries to make chit chat, but Odo has to regenerate and is extremely cranky.
He is so cranky.
He's like, go away, leave me alone. I will destroy you.
Oh, sorry, I missed this note, but Rick Berman, it says, was initially against the idea of the Defiant having a cloaking device. Because one of Gene Roddenberry's tenets for the universe was that Starfleet didn't believe in sneaking around. So they convinced him, Ira Bear and Robert Wolf convinced him by saying that the cloak would only be used in the Gamma Quadrant.
Oh, okay. So on the way to the Karama system, which is the one system they know of that actually belongs to the Dominion.
Yeah, like the Dosai referred them to the Karama to get some Tulaberry wine, so here that's who we'll go talk to.
And that's why they need to bring Quark, because he's the Tulaberry wine deal guy. Although it just always seems, I can never quite tell if... so in this episode, the Ferengi are buying Tulaberry wine from the Karama.
Right.
So sometimes it seems to be the other way around, but... on the way, they encounter some Jim'Hadar ships. At first, it seems like the ships detected them, but they drop out of warp and power down, and all is good.
Yeah, they're like, the cloaking device maybe doesn't cover you because you're more powerful than normal, or us, rather, so maybe power down also. Which the cloaking device I feel like is probably meant for a larger ship, so maybe I don't feel like the power output should be an issue unless they use a cloaking device from a smaller ship.
Yeah, I
instead of,
imagine
like
they gave him
warbird
like
cloaking device.
Yeah, I imagine they gave him one for a smaller ship, not like one from like a full warbird or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are probably like the top cloaking devices.
Right.
This is probably like a lesser model cloaking device. And she's like, when we're at warp, it creates like a subspace disturbance or whatever. So maybe.
Yeah, and they're like, wait, really? We've never heard that.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, we don't tell people about that.
Cisco's like, let me write that down.
Yeah, right. Let me get that to Starfleet intelligence right away. But apparently, old model cloaking devices are fine. If you've watched Picard, then
Right.
you can just use a cloaking device from like 100 years ago, and nobody will detect you. So it's all good.
Yeah. Well, that was a Klingon cloaking device.
That was a Klingon cloaking device, but the Klingon cloaking devices actually come from the Romulans originally.
So yeah, who knows? Okay, so yeah, they make contact with Quark's guy in the Karama, who walks around the bridge touching everything.
Yep, and trying to figure out what he wants to try and buy.
Yeah, he tries
which is eventually Kira's earring.
He tries to buy Kira's earring, and Quark tries to sell it to him.
Yeah, Quark's like, deal.
So no. So he explains that they don't know anything about the Founders, just the Vorta. And the usual routine is that the Vorta tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, then the Jem'Hadar show up. So
So we just do it.
Yeah, we just do what the Vorta tell us to do.
Yeah.
At first he doesn't want to say more than that, but Quark threatens to cut their Tulaberry wine deal, which could displease the Vorta. So the Karama guy pulls up a map and points to a planet where they send all their communications to the Dominion. Odo notices a squiggle on the map and finds himself instantly drawn to it. Karama dude says it's the Omarian Nebula, and then Odo stares at it in some kind of creepy trance.
Yep, pretty creepy. I love the Karama guy's line about like when they're like, well, like put us in contact with the Vorta, and he's like, no, we haven't been told to do that. Like we only do the things that we're told to do.
It's like, but you weren't told not to do it. He's like, yeah, still.
Better to err on the side of caution with them.
Yep. I mean, do the Vorta really care about this Tulaberry wine deal? I doubt it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The Defiant drops off Quark at presumably on the Karama planet.
Yep.
And then flies to the planet the dude pointed out. Kira wakes Sisko up in his quarters to argue on Odo's behalf, but Sisko says there's nothing he can do if Odo doesn't want to stay. They arrive at the planet where there's an unmanned relay station. Dax and O'Brien beam down to figure out where the signals are relayed to, a job which O'Brien finds a little too easy. But they find where the signals are going and they send the coordinates to the Defiant, but just then alarms start going off and Jem'Hadar ships start rushing to their location. Sisko makes the tough decision to leave Dax and O'Brien behind to be captured by the Jem'Hadar. Then Sisko calls Odo because he wants help with some security thing or something, but Odo's like, I'm busy, leave me alone. He's like, what? So Kira goes down to talk to him, just as Tarul reports that the Jem'Hadar ships are catching up with him. Sisko orders them to drop warp again and do the power down maneuver thing again. Kira finds Odo still staring at that nebula, and he asks Kira if she can give him a shuttlecraft so he can go to the nebula. She's like, what? No. Suddenly the Defiant comes under attack from the Jem'Hadar. The helmsman dies, so Bashir takes the helm and executes evasive pattern Delta 5.
Yeah, it's a good thing Bashir doesn't suck as much as he normally does at other things.
I kind of wonder if he does suck at this, though, because they immediately lose shields. It's like, how well was he executing that Delta 5 pattern? But anyway, yeah, their shields drop and a bunch of Jem'Hadar beam aboard. And a big gun battle breaks out. In the action, Kira takes a phaser hit and goes unconscious, then wakes up alone in a shuttle with Odo. Their destination, the Omarian Nebula.
Boom, boom, boom.
She's like, what? We need to either go back to the ship or go to the wormhole. He's like, no, we're going to the nebula.
Yeah. I don't know why, but we're going to the nebula. Yeah. That's all there is to it.
So they get to the nebula. They find a rogue planet floating around in there and land. I mean, there's kind of a bright star nearby, but yeah, it's mostly kind of like this dark planet with fluorescent trees and stuff. On the planet, quickly come upon a lake filled with familiar-looking gold goo. Then figures begin forming out of the goo, beings that look a lot like Odo. One of them approaches Odo and says, "Welcome home." To be continued.
Yep. Good ending.
Yep. Man, where's this going? What's going on? Okay, now for additional discussion segment or something. I need a better name for this segment.
I was just looking up because it occurred to me that the Defiant is apparently too small to feature like much in the way of quarters or even a medical bay, but there's room for shuttles.
Yeah.
And so I remember reading at one point that it has like shuttle pods, which are smaller than shuttlecraft, which I assume is what they took there. And so I had to go. I went and looked up the Defiant class on the wiki, and it's like, oh yeah, there's like 3 shuttle bays.
Huh.
And I'm like, what? Really? That's insanity. Like, why would you need 3 shuttle bays and not a medical facility on this fighter craft?
Yeah. I mean, when he said I need a shuttle, I was like, really? There's a shuttle bay on this ship? But then when they showed the shuttle, it was like this little tiny shuttle when they landed on the planet. So I was like, okay, I guess I buy it.
But yeah, according to the deck layout description of the Defiant class, there's like 2 decks over which hold on, let me go back to the list here because I moved on to the shuttle stuff. But on deck 3 you have shuttle bays 1 through 3, and then on deck 4 you have shuttle bays 1 and 2 exterior doors. So I'm not sure where the shuttle bay 3 exterior door is, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not finding it on this list. There's only like 4 decks so on the Defiant.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell, like, just the Defiant's not a very huge ship, so...
Right. It's not supposed to be. Yeah, I like Cisco's, like, technically it's classed as an escort ship, but it's, like, the first ship that the Federation has designed specifically for fighting.
Right.
So, random notes here. The Defiant's weapons in this episode feature heavy machine gun type sound effect. It's the only time that sound effect is used.
Huh.
Jadzia's new up hairstyle is unique to this episode and part 2.
So I guess they weren't a big fan of it.
I guess not.
I mean, if ever she wound up in like the 1940s, it might. But I mean, I can't imagine the show ever going there.
Also, fascinating detail to me, though maybe not to anyone else. This is the first appearance of the new style of comm badge that was designed for Star Trek Generations, but used first here.
I wanted to point that out because I did notice that. And I saw it and I was like, wait, have they been having those comm badges for a while and I just didn't notice? So, yes. And they all seem to like have their zippers down on their uniforms like an extra couple of inches.
I didn't notice that.
I don't know if that was like costume guy was like, yeah, let's like loosen those like zippers.
Yeah, let's make you look a little less uptight.
And I noticed that Odo is now wearing a full tunic with a belt and
the belt and the high neck, the collar or whatever.
Yeah, like that half turtleneck type collar or whatever.
Yep, the one from the Mirror Universe Odo. This is where it starts. His evolution into Mirror Universe Odo. He will be like Dark Odo by the end.
It's like he read about this Dark Odo. He was like, "Ooh, I kind of like this guy."
I mean, that could have been an interesting long-term character arc. Is like Odo quits his job and starts dressing more darkly and just eventually ends up super evil.
That could be fun.
Rene Auberjonois initially did not like the idea that Odo was going to find his people here. He said, "I thought if we solved the mystery about Odo's character, I didn't know where we'd go with him."
Nah.
But eventually, after getting more information, he says like it ended up making the character more complex. It added to Odo's angst and his depth.
I mean, you can't just like have him not find his people forever,
right? I mean, I guess maybe in his mind it would be something that would happen later in the series than the first episode of season 3.
But I mean, you can introduce his people and then still like have more story to go from there,
right? I mean, clearly,
yeah. Quark just gonna hang out on the Dominion planet.
He says that he's like gonna catch a ride back with like some like trade delegation, and that he'll make a profit in the process.
Yeah, like how frequent are ships to the wormhole from this planet, because especially now that
who knows?
Now that the Dominion is cracking down on like people coming through the wormhole. But
apparently not on trade delegations from the Karama, or the Karama would know that the Dominion is not interested in talking to these people.
Yeah. Or maybe just like the Tullaberry wine trade is like the key to holding the whole Dominion together.
It could be.
Yeah, we gotta keep this. The Tullaberry wine must flow. That's a Dune reference.
Okay.
It's like he who controls the Tullaberries controls the universe.
I still haven't seen Dune, and I've never read Dune. So.
Oh yeah, the movie was pretty good, although it didn't really end.
That is what I keep hearing. One of the reasons I did not see it.
So I might wait till like the next movie comes out, then watch them all in one piece.
Or that one doesn't end either, and it just continues.
Yeah, I was kind of like when they it's like when they get on the Defiant, it's like everybody kind of has like these new Defiant jobs.
Yeah.
I was like, are these people qualified for these jobs, or? And like when the command crew of Deep Space Nine is flying the Defiant, like who's left on Deep Space Nine? Like,
that's a good question.
Jake.
I really feel like Kira doesn't belong on the Defiant and should probably be left in charge of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, although for all we know, like the Bajoran government asked her to go along.
Oh yeah,
to be like, hey, I'm from a planet called Bajor. Like, if you attack the Federation,
leave us alone.
It's like, by the way, we're not thrilled that you blew up our colony. First of all,
but we're not with them.
Yeah,
so I know I'm on their ship, but
we're not part of them. When you come out of the wormhole, our planet is right there. Just fly past that,
turn left,
and then here's where Earth is. So, oh, thank you, very helpful.
So there's a comment from Robert Hewitt Wolf here, and it makes it sound like there's some sort of accusations, or there were at the time, that they just brought a starship in because ratings were bad, and the network was like, "You need a starship. That's why your ratings are bad." But what he says is bringing in the Defiant was based on our internal perceptions of something that would make the show better. It was not based on ratings.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't quite get where the logic that like a starship would make ratings go up. It's like Next Gen had a starship and it had great ratings. This doesn't have a starship. It has bad ratings.
That may be that may be the thought process of executives. You never know.
Yeah. They are notoriously not smart about these types of things, but
Empire Magazine cited the two-parter The Search as the best episode of Deep Space Nine when they ranked the series as number 47 on their list of the 50 greatest TV shows of all time.
Wow. Like the best of the entire series?
I guess so.
Like of all
I don't
seasons?
know when the 50 greatest TV shows of all time came out. I assume it was after the show had ended, or it would be weird to call it one of the greatest of all time, but I don't know.
Huh.
Can't say for sure, because the link in the wiki that's a reference for that is a dead link. So
yeah. Put it in the Wayback Machine, see if it goes anywhere.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Before the Wayback Machine gets shut down. Oh yeah, okay. Search at Deep Space Nine, number 47. Oh yeah, it says best episode of Deep Space Nine is The Search parts 1 and 2. Did you know that Avery Brooks was contractually required to grow hair for the role of Benjamin Sisko to distance himself from his character in the 80s mystery series Spencer for Hire?
Yeah, those TV audiences, they might not realize that Spencer for Hire wasn't the commander of the space station.
Oh gosh. But it has the run of the show as 93 to 99, so it must be after that.
Oh, well.
What's their number one show of all time? The Simpsons.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm not going to fight him on that.
Yeah.
There's arguments that could be made, but I'm going to let him have it because I don't necessarily disagree. Buffy is number 2. And Buffy ended in 2003. The Sopranos is number 3, which ended in 2007. So yeah, this is a list from much later.
I mean, the Simpsons basically raised me, so...
Yep.
Can't...
That's where I learned everything about life.
Yep.
The Simpsons.
It's a very good show. Very good show.
Okay, I don't have any more notes on
anyway,
that.
Ready to jump into ratings segment? And
Oh yeah, ratings.
I figure we'll do
Almost
something.
forgotten that was a thing.
So I figure this season we'll just rate the episodes. We won't try to like, not that it matters today, but we'll just just give your rank for the episode. Don't try to like sort it into like
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
I think that'll make things a little easier, and I think that'll like spice up the top and bottom episodes discussion when we get to the end of the season, where we don't already have like
It's not already clearly outlined. Yeah, sure.
like the mathematically correct top and bottom episodes already figured out. So, how would you rate this episode?
How would I rate this episode? This is okay. Let me think. Let me think about this episode as a whole. There's some good stuff. The thing is, this episode is really a lot of setup.
Yeah.
For what's going to happen in the second part. I don't feel like anything actually happens here.
Yeah, that's true. It does make it very tough to rate.
So yeah, on its own, I probably couldn't put it very high. If we were going to rate the two of them together as a whole, it would probably be higher. But
yeah.
Okay, let me think. I guess I would put this just above the line. So
Yeah.
that's going to be like what, a lieutenant commander? I always forget where our line is.
Yeah, lieutenant commander is.
So yeah, I guess that's where I'd have to put it.
Okay. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of hard to rate because it's the like part 1 of 2, or I guess almost it's like part 2 of 3 if you count last episode.
Yeah, I could see how you could combine them together.
So, but it does, for me, it's kind of like right on the border between lieutenant commander and commander.
Okay.
But it like, first of all, we get the Defiant.
Oh yeah, that's always good.
Yep, yay! And the Defiant's fun. I felt like we got some fun moments. I mean, there's a little bit of character stuff that was a little weird, like all the Odo being all pouty and then being all like
and then
obsessed,
hypnotized, or
yeah. That was a little weird, but overall, I do like the concept of. So I like it when we go on a mission that has a little bit of mystery to it, like.
Sure.
It's like, we don't know where the founders are. We're going to take this new ship. We're going to go, like, we're going to go do a little investigation, a little search. I think I will ultimately put it at a lieutenant commander, even though it feels a little unfair because it is just a part 1. And it's like, it's not really obligated to, like,
to be a story in and of itself.
Yeah. Or
like I feel like it does a good job setting things up. Although, when you mentioned the Defiant, it didn't remind me of a thought that I had that was like, for the episode that introduces the Defiant and talks about how awesome it is, it really doesn't make much of a showing for itself.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, we get, a lot of talk about how crappy the Defiant is. So
yeah,
but like Chief O'Brien's there. I'm sure he has like lots of ideas of how to.
Maybe they should have spent a couple days like making improvements and fixing things before just jetting off to the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they feel this like mission is kind of urgent or something. I don't know. Or maybe like Tarul wants to take her cloaking device and go home as soon as possible. She's like, "Come on, let's just do this." But yeah, so I'm pretty comfortable, I guess, leaving it at Lieutenant Commander. Yeah, but I mean, they aired separately, so I feel kind of obligated to rate them separately too.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, if you were watching week to week, then you would be in the same position that we are. So
I will say, it did a good job. Like, that cliffhanger is pretty good. So where the like changelings come out. There's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone was expecting that the first time.
There's a lot left up in the air. So it's like, whoa, what's going on with Odo and these changelings, and also like what's what even happened to the Defiant? We don't know. Like, because Odo's just like, well, I saw them floating dead in space, but I
didn't care enough to learn anything else.
And what happened to Dax and O'Brien? Like, did they get captured on that planet, or did they manage to evade, or what? Mm-hmm. And what about Quark? Did he ever get his ride back through the wormhole? All these questions, up in the air, making you want to watch the next episode. So I think pretty good job in that regard. But I think as a season opener, I think we'll have to wait till next episode to kind of like give the final say on that.
Yeah.
We got to come up with some more segments though. Like other shows have like, all these segments like character MVP segment, like favorite, least favorite moments segment.
Okay.
Horniest moment segment.
The Bashir, obviously. Every time.
Anytime Bashir's on screen.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. But yeah, we'll work on that as we go, I guess.
We have the going down completely unrelated rabbit hole segment.
Yeah. That's like that's a sub segment that's woven into all other segments.
Like, it's as we've been talking, I've been looking through that list of top 50 shows just out of curiosity. Number 5 is Lost, but it was it says it aired until present, so this came out while Lost was still on the air, which means that they hadn't seen the finale, which is my only explanation for why it's in the top 5 of all time.
It might dip a little bit. Okay. Any other interesting shows on there?
A lot of stuff that you'd probably expect, and some stuff that I didn't expect. Like Spaced makes it on here, which, I mean, I like Spaced fine. I don't know that I would put it in the top 50 of all time.
Which one is Spaced?
That's the... hold on, let me go back to make sure that... No, that's Seinfeld that I just clicked on. It's all numbers, so I have to remember what number that was to get back to it. Doctor Who's number 16. Spaced is the one with what's his name? Who played Scotty in the subsequent movies or the newer movies. What's his name?
The Simon Pegg.
Yes. And it was like the TV show that he was in and I think helped write or whatever once upon a time, like a British show. Also, their entry on Family Guy, which they place at number 12, is William H. Macy originally auditioned to provide the voice of Brian.
Huh. 12 is way too high for Family Guy.
The Wire is 8.
That's way too... I think... Well, I've never seen The Sopranos, but I still think The Wire should beat The Sopranos.
But like, Blackadder is number 20, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that's a British thing.
Yeah. Okay, Spaced, let's see. Here, finally found it. It's number 10. For a generation weaned on geek culture and bottle-fed on cult movies, Spaced was the perfect comedy. So Simon Pegg's lovable comic book artist, Jessica Stevenson's lazy author, and Nick Frost's army obsessive, amongst others.
Oh, nice. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen it, but maybe I'll check it out.
It's only a couple of seasons. I downloaded it and watched it once upon a time, and it's a decent comedy.
Are they like the British style seasons that are like 4 episodes long?
I think so, if I remember right, but I'm not 100%. I watched that and the IT Crowd at the same time because I was like, let's watch some British stuff, and so the two like overlap in my brain.
Like the Mighty Boosh.
X-Files is number 9, and the best episode is Jose Chung's From Outer Space.
That is absolutely 100% the best episode of the X-Files.
That
is one of my favorite episodes of TV of all time.
Okay. I didn't watch the X-Files religiously enough to like watch all the episodes, so there's a bunch I haven't seen.
That's the famous one where, oh man, so much great stuff happens in that. But I think its most famous image is the alien smoking the cigarette.
Sure.
Because the beginning, like some aliens abduct some kids, and then Lord Kimboat comes from the center of the earth and abducts the aliens and the kids into his ship. And then like they're in Lord Kimboat's ship, like the kids and the aliens, and one of the aliens starts smoking a cigarette. He's like, this is not happening. This is not happening. Yep.
These guys are sci-fi fans. Farscape is listed at number 45, which I love Farscape, but most people would not include it in the 50 greatest shows of all time.
I've never, because I knew a lot of people in college who liked Farscape, and like a lot of times, like you would just walk into someone's room and they would just be like on a Farscape binge. So like, I've seen a bunch of episodes through that, but I've never watched them in like order or anything.
And that's the way I originally watched Farscape, was out of order in that same way, like just catching an episode now and then. And it is a very different experience when I bought the DVDs and watched from beginning to end and realized that, there is like story and like things happening here, which I never realized before.
Yeah. So, interesting list.
Yeah.
I do love me some X-Files. I hear there might be an X-Files reboot or something coming.
Oh, well.
We'll see.
I wonder how people will feel about that.
Yeah, probably not good. like, I saw a thing, it was like, wokeness has now taken X-Files. I was like, oh, jeez.
X-Files wasn't woke.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't even know what that segment was. That was the various TV shows discussion segment.
Yeah, exactly. That needs to be a recurring segment. It's just talking about other TV shows that remind you of what's happening right now.
Yep. X-Files. Okay, what X-Files episode aired this week?
Oh, that was the one that we talked about, like episodes of other shows that aired at the same time.
List of X-Files episodes. September 23rd, The Host.
The Host. What's that one?
That one was, oh yeah. Or some kind of weird vampire creature. I don't remember. Oh yeah, their inquiry results in the discovery of a bizarre fluke-like man, the product of the Chernobyl disaster.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. Yeah, if you have any suggestions for segments, put them in the comments. Or if you're on the podcast player, go to the YouTube version of this video and put it in the comments.
Or send Fletcher an email at .com. I don't know.
Yeah,
don't do that. I made that up.
.com might not like that. I'm sure that's a real guy.
Won't. I'm 100% sure that's a real guy, so don't do that.
I could spring the extra like $20 and set up a mailbox for the undeclaredbajor.com domain, but
nah.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, you could just get undeclaredbajor at gmail.com or something and have the same effect. It's fine.
True. I really doubt anybody's taking that, so
probably not. Although after this episode airs, they will.
Someone's gonna just like take it and try to sell it to us. We're not buying it.
No,
I'm just
we're
gonna
not
tell you
going
right
to
now.
buy it from you.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's the end of the episode. I think we've run out of stuff to talk about.
We need a new sign off.
Yeah. So yep, that does it for us today. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. As always, check out the description where you might find links to interesting things, or you might find nothing. If I'm just lazy that week, who knows? I'm Fletcher, about to say toodaloo is Data.
See ya.
Until next time, don't forget to always kiss the negus stick. Goodbye.